Srila Prabhupada gave Mridanga lessons. Gita-ta, 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 gita. Gita-ta, 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 gita. Gita-ta, 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 gita.
We're live, Ishan Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, now we'll just get this. This is a drum, mridanga, that I created. Srila Prabhupada said, go to the West and make a drum, use your technology, make a drum that our boys can't break. Because they were very good at breaking mridangas. I learned...
How close is it to the original sound? The clay mridanga, is it very close?
I don't think a person in another room would know the difference.
Oh.
I can improve it. I have lots of ideas. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Desa Charine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Yadeshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrind Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. One more time. Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Whew. Now, no. Wires. One moment, please. We are so fortunate. We are so fortunate. So today we're going to talk. I have a theme that I have. Ramchandra Prabhu, he's been giving me permission to speak on these Sunday classes. Very kindly. And I have a theme that it's a little bit different, but I believe that it is based completely on Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's teachings. So we have this shloka. Krishna gives instruction, very specific instruction. Sometimes there is some question about Guru Tattva. Who is Guru? Who should be Guru? How is Guru coming to us? How are we coming to Guru? So then, as we see, Srila Prabhupada, he's departed 1977. So many things have happened, and we have now different camps. We have the Siddha Pranali camp. There's Narayan Maharaj, one of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, I believe, is telling people that, oh, you're a gopi, and here you have people who are the Prakrita Bhaktas, materialistic devotees, Kanista Adhikaris, thinking that now I'm a gopi. It says, everything that Srila Prabhupada talks about so firmly, so definitively in his books, warns us to avoid this thing like it was COVID or something, and people from our own camp, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they're thinking like this, and then you have another group where they think, just like in the Roman Catholic religion. I visited one site, Roman Catholic, it's called Catholic Talk. And I tried to share my understanding of Krishna consciousness with them, because they don't understand what Jesus is teaching. Anyway, so they're thinking that the representatives, Jesus came just like Lord Chaitanya came. Of course, the Catholics think that Jesus is God. I know that for a fact because they tell me that definitively that God has taken the form. We also say that Srila Prabhupada, we should relate to him as God, but not because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because, why? Because he's Krishna's intimate servant. So Jesus says, I and my Father are one, means that we have the same, whatever I'm speaking, Srila Prabhupada says, whatever I'm speaking, Krishna is giving me. Everything I'm speaking, you can take it. It's like it's coming from Krishna himself. So I and my Father are one in that sense. But but Catholics are thinking that because Jesus said, I and my Father are one, that he means that Jesus is Krishna. So they have everything. But the idea I'm wanting to discuss, that how does, so from Jesus came and he gives a teaching. Lord Chaitanya came and he gives a teaching. So then there's a disciplic succession. The disciplic succession is handing down the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, just as Lord Chaitanya gave, and with the same potency as Lord Chaitanya gave. It's like there's one purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita that how did Lord Chaitanya teach? Because Krishna says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, for a long time I haven't given this, that people are worshipping me in a mood of awe and veneration, but this is not so much interesting to me. I like when people relate to me in terms of the rasas, the love of the residents of Vrindavan, how they relate to me. So he says, I'm going to go down to this earth planet, and I'm going to take the form of a devotee, and I'm going to teach devotional service by practicing it myself. So Lord Chaitanya came, and he was in the mood of Srimati Radharani, feeling separation from Krishna. And he was sharing this in kirtan. He was sharing this in kirtan, and people would become intoxicated with this. So that's how he said that. That's why he's said to be most magnanimous avatar, because he's giving love of Krishna directly, by personal association. So Srila Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, well, that's very good. People may say, that's very good, but that was 500 years ago. How can we hear the chanting of Lord Chaitanya today? It's a good question. So Srila Prabhupada says, one can hear the chanting of Lord Chaitanya through the disciplic succession. Even in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 18, is described how Lord Chaitanya took the role of a devotee, and he had a spiritual master. Everything for our example, and he describes how he became ecstatic doing his sadhana. In chapter 18, you can read in Teachings of, he said, and Srila Prabhupada writes, quote, the process is that the spiritual master chants the mantra, and then Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He says, and the sound vibration enters into the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple chants with the same feeling, this becomes the worship of the holy name. And then the holy name spreads his glories within the heart of such a disciple. This is how. So he's So Srila Prabhupada says, we can hear the chanting of Lord Chaitanya, the ecstatic, through the disciplic succession. So this is what disciplic succession is. So in the Catholic Church, they have a pope. But how does the pope get the position of the pope? It's a democracy. they, they vote. The bishops, cardinals, whatever, they're voting who is now can give us, because Jesus said, you're all working so hard, you're all in Maya. He didn't use those words, he used the word, he said on the sermon on the Mount, he said, you have to make a choice. You can either serve God or you can serve Mammon. We say we can serve Krishna or we can serve Maya. He said you can't have it both ways, so you have to choose. So, I go off on tangent. So the idea is that, so Jesus said, you're working so hard in Maya, you're serving Maya. All you who are heavy laden, you have this great burden in your life, trying to make everything work very nicely. He says, they used a comparison because in that day, you have an oxen in the field. And the oxen, he has a yoke, a wooden structure goes over his neck, and through that wooden structure the reins go, and the driver of the plow, he can make the oxen or the horse go left, right, whatever. Jesus says, I'm wearing this yoke and you're working very hard, but he says, you should accept the yoke that I have. You should accept the yoke that I'm wearing. He says, you'll love it. You'll like it. It's very light. It's very nice. So he's talking about having a devotional service to Krishna. Vishnu. So he was also preaching pure devotional service. He's saying, you take this attitude that I have in my heart and you use that, and that's so he said, even the Jewish clergymen, they were asking Jesus, what's the most important rule? And Jesus said, the most important rule is that we have to love Krishna with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our strength. We have to love Krishna. He said that love of God is the highest rule. That's the same thing. So then they need somebody to represent Jesus, because Jesus is not here visibly at the moment. So then they have a representative, a disciplic succession. But who takes they vote. So you have the same thing in ISKCON today. They're voting who is going to represent Lord Chaitanya and distribute his mercy. So that's a new idea. It's never been done before. Actually, Srila Prabhupada explains that in the Gaudiya Math, they tried to vote for different people to be the Acharya, and he said it ruined the whole Gaudiya Math. It finished the whole institution, made it, he uses this word asara, useless. You can't vote for such people from conditioned souls to make. Anyway, leaving this diversion aside, we have these statements. See, I wanted to prepare a talk today. I wanted to prepare a talk, and I did. It's very rough on my clipboard. I wanted to find all the quotes that give evidence, but so many crazy things happened today that I just couldn't deal with So I can't give, but if anyone wants to contact me, I can give them the references. So we know. We hear it again and again and again and again. One has to cultivate Krishna consciousness under the guidance of the spiritual master. One has to cultivate Krishna consciousness under the direction of a spiritual master. Spiritual master. So, but then Srila Prabhupada writes different things about that. In our Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada makes the point that actually one should try to find, as a spiritual master, a Mahabhagavata devotee, a pure devotee, as someone who's on the topmost level of devotion. He says like that. He says, and you can find it in 5th or 6th shloka in the purport, that basically the student can only rise up to the level of Krishna consciousness of the spiritual teacher. You can't develop more than that. We're going to talk about how that works and why. So he says, we have to cultivate our Krishna consciousness under the guidance, under the direction of the spiritual master. But we have to find a spiritual master who's a pure devotee. Now, this is not my words. This is in our books. And there are like this another half dozen, 10, 12, 14, again and again and again. One has to cultivate under the guidance of a pure devotee. Therefore, one should have a spiritual master who's a Mahabhagavat devotee. So one may begin to inquire, why can a disciple only advance to the level of the spiritual master? So, and here's the logic. Srila Prabhupada might say, you have to get up every morning and take a bath. Well, the spiritual master who's not a pure devotee can say that. You have to get up every morning and take a bath. Srila Prabhupada, who's a pure devotee, might say, you have to go to Mangal Arti. Well, the ISKCON guru, he can say that. You have to get up and go to Mangal Arti. Srila Prabhupada can say, you have to chant 16 rounds. The ISKCON guru can say, you have to get up and chant 16 rounds. Srila Prabhupada can say, only take Krishna Prasadam. ISKCON guru can say, only take Krishna Prasadam. Srila Prabhupada says, you have to go to class. When I was in the living with devotees, Srila Prabhupada had us have morning class and evening class. The morning class is Srimad Bhagavatam, evening class, Bhagavad Gita, and we would have also Artik ceremony in the evening before class. By the time I left the movement, after Srila Prabhupada's departure, there was no more evening program. But anyway, that's another issue. So Srila Prabhupada said, Kirtan. Yes, Kirtan. So Harinam, Sankirtan. ISKCON, spiritual master. So why does one need to have a pure devotee as a spiritual master? Why can't even a neophyte can say the same thing We can take a kanishta adhikari for my spiritual master. And why does it have to be? So that's a good question. Both the Mahabhagavat, and the Madhyama Akari and the Kanishta Adhikari spiritual master, they can give the same guidance, the same direction. Even the lowest devotee, materialistic devotee, he can give the same guidance and direction as the Maha. So why does he have to be a pure devotee? So the answer is, it's an important answer, that the essential guidance and direction that enables a neophyte student to acquire the taste, which is known as the nectar of devotion, the essential feature that enables a student of a teacher to acquire this devotional taste. It's not objective instruction. It's not objective instruction, it's called subjective instruction. If you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, first chapter, text number 47, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, there's two kinds of instructing spiritual masters. Two kinds. They're both giving instruction, but two kinds. He says, and he uses these words, objective instruction and subjective instruction. So I'm interested in words, so I look on the web, AI. AI is my guru, so subjective means feeling, how we feel. It's not something that is logical. It's something that you feel in your heart. So Srila Prabhupada writes in Adi Leela, first chapter, text 47, purport, that there's two kinds of spiritual masters giving instruction. One is giving instruction that's objective. Do this, do this, do this, don't do this, and don't do that. And the other one, Srila Prabhupada writes, is very interesting. Srila Prabhupada writes, the other kind of instruction, spiritual master, he's absorbed in devotional meditation round the clock. He's absorbed in devotional meditation. And that's how he instructs. So that the student is not receiving do this, do this. The student is receiving the feeling in his association. So this is called subjective instruction. That's how Lord Chaitanya taught. Exactly how Lord Chaitanya. He said, I'm going to teach devotional service not by giving instruction, not by having debates, not by logic, but I'm going to teach it by doing it myself, by practicing. And that's how Lord Chaitanya spread Krishna consciousness. And the whole disciplic succession is doing the same thing. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that for Lord Chaitanya, he traveled all over India, but he didn't go to all over the world, Western world, Far East, whatever, Oriental world. So he says he entered the hearts of his pure devotees so they could have the same feeling that Lord Chaitanya had in Krishna consciousness. So although a kanista adhikari, neophyte devotee, can give the same objective instruction as a pure devotee, the same objective instruction, do, don't, a checklist of activities to do and not to do. He can't share this ecstatic devotional feeling. Just like we say, Lord Chaitanya is more magnanimous than any other avatar, even Krishna himself, because he's giving what no other incarnation has ever offered for. What is that? He's giving this feeling of love of Krishna freely. So if he's giving it freely, why I don't have it? So I have to understand the science of how we get it. Then we can start to cultivate in that way. So this is called subjective instruction. And this is objective feeling instruction by feeling and sharing that feeling. Instructing by feeling love for Krishna and sharing that feeling. That's called subjective instruction. It's right in our books. Go and read. Adi Lila 147, read that purport. It'll jump off the page. You have to learn love of Krishna from someone who has love of Krishna. Yeah, you go to, why does Srila Prabhupada write? Srimad Bhagavatam 1:5-25. First canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse purport. What's the first sentence in that purport? Pure devotion is as much infectious, in a good sense, just like an infectious disease. And what is that? And then Srila Prabhupada says, infection means infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of devotion in the association of someone who has that taste. He says, and the neophyte devotee, he uses this word neophyte, so he's talking about you and me. Well, you may be more advanced, but I'm a neophyte. He says the neophyte devotee, in this way, he develops all the qualities of the pure devotee. And when he imbibes this taste in the association, what we were saying, like we started this talk, under the guidance of a pure devotee, under the guidance of the spiritual master, under the direction, to engage in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the spiritual master, to engage in Krishna consciousness under the guidance, under his guidance. This means to receive subjective instruction, not objective instruction. And so he says, we're singing every morning. That's why we sing every morning in the Guru, what is that? Something Vandana, that the lotus feet of our Shri Guru Charana Padma. You're familiar, of course. He says, the lotus feet of our spiritual master is the only way by which we can get this pure devotional service. We sing every day because he's giving subjective instruction. It's the only way. So he says, Prema Bhakti Ahoite Avidya Vinashayate. That from him, this feeling of love of Krishna, it emanates. That is subjective instruction. And if we can catch it, avidya vinashayate, prema bhakti ahahoite, avidya vinashayate. Now, we're not talking about advanced subject matters because we're not qualified to, but this is for us neophytes to cultivate a living relationship with our spiritual master, who is and become infected with his qualities of devotion. Imbibe the taste, because we're neophytes, and this taste makes other tastes distasteful. Imbibing the taste of devotion makes material taste distasteful, and in the Guru Puja prayer, from him this taste comes, and if we get it, our other tastes go away. Avidya, our ignorance is the same idea, that we have to get the taste from someone who has the taste. You have to catch COVID from someone who has COVID. You have to catch devotion from someone who has devotion. There's no other way. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. So if one I don't know how many people we have in ISKCON, but this means, let's assume that they all mean well. They all mean well. The gurus, my god brothers, say, my god brothers, they're gurus. They mean well, and their students mean well. It just means they don't understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. That's all. If we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not trying to replace Srila Prabhupada or sit on his Vyasa-san or have people. I have seen videos, they're pouring milk on their guru's feet and drinking it. I've seen that. So, my God brothers, nobody's pouring milk on my feet. maybe I should become a guru. So all we can conclude is that they simply don't understand the science of Krishna consciousness. Now, I have so many things here. So, infectious, the process of imbibing the taste, and therefore, and so, now, say I have a relationship with you, you have a relationship with me. We talk with our friends, we talk with people in the store, when we go to the store, the salesman, the cashier, but they don't share with us their most intimate feelings. It's very professional. They say, yes, sir. No, I say, don't call me sir. Call me Peter. Yes, sir. They got, yes, sir. So everything very formal. So how do we know what is their personal life like? What's their emotional life? What's their internal life like? How do they know what my internal life is like? So how do we do that? You have to have a very intimate relationship with somebody in order to understand what they're feeling. When you really know someone well, they just make one little expression on their face and you know what they're feeling. So Srila Prabhupada, so the idea is, if Srila Prabhupada is giving this, is it a secret? Is he hiding it from anyone? After all, Srila Prabhupada's rarely, very rarely displaying ecstatic symptoms. I have one friend, and I know another person who has passed away, has left the body. One time in New Vrindavan, my friend, and one time in Mayapur, in the temple, Srila Prabhupada went into trance while singing Radha Madhava, and the kartals fell from his hands, and his body began to tremble. Actually, I was once Srila Prabhupada's assistant for the installation of deities in New Delhi. Shri Shri Radha Partha Sarathi. Partha is Arjun, son of Pritha, son of Kunti, and Srimati Radharani, she didn't want to see Krishna like that. She liked to see Krishna in Vrindavan. When Krishna is driving the chariot of Arjuna, he's in the mood, he's a prince, a Kshatriya. She likes the cowherd boy Krishna. So, but we have deities in New Delhi. I don't know if they're still there. They were very beautiful. Marble, about 2.5 feet to 3 feet high. Beautiful. So I was Srila Prabhupada's assistant to install these deities, and I was beside Srila Prabhupada. From Srila Prabhupada's eyes, have you ever seen water come out of a syringe? Or a water pistol? Comes out straight. Can go 5 feet, 10 feet. From Srila Prabhupada's eyes, as he was bathing Shri Shri Radha Partha Sarathi with different substances, yogurt, honey, like that. From Srila Prabhupada's eyes, he's sitting in front of the altar, and they're down on the bottom step, and Srila Prabhupada's pouring these, from his eyes come, just like from a syringe, water, straight out. So I was staring at Srila Prabhupada. I've never seen anything like that in my life. That's from somebody's eyes, if they're crying, tears come from down their face, but that water should come out straight, horizontal to the ground, parallel to, straight out. I saw it, it's about like this much. And Srila Prabhupada sees that I'm staring, and he makes some gesture, do something worthwhile, clean this, do that. And he didn't want I should be looking at him like that. But, so Srila Prabhupada, he's all in Nectar of Devotion, says that the pure devotee is always feeling this ecstasy within himself 24 hours a day, but he doesn't make a show. He's an acharya. He's showing us how we should behave, but once in a while some hint is given. So, we have to have how do we know what Srila Prabhupada's feeling? Because if that's the only way that we can become a devotee ourselves, actually not to become, but that's our cultivation. We'll talk about that. That's our cultivation in our sadhana. So this is not advanced subject matter. This is for the neophyte. So how do we know what Srila Prabhupada is feeling? So the idea is we have to cultivate a very intimate relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Just like you cultivate an intimate relationship with a friend, with your marriage partner, whatever, your parents, your children. You understand how they feel. So Srila Prabhupada writes about this. I have another quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita where I wish I had the numbers in front of me. I don't, but I know the quote. I have on my computer. Anyone can write to me. I'll give them. It says that Srila Prabhupada quotes Sanskrit, and he says that if someone has genuine love for their spiritual master, if a disciple or student has genuine love for their spiritual master, all confidential knowledge will be revealed. Now, if we have real love for Srila Prabhupada, he will share his devotional feelings with us. Because you don't share your most intimate feelings with just anybody. Even in the Bible it said, do not cast your pearls, don't throw your pearls do not cast your pearls before swine. Do not throw, if you have some valuable jewelry, don't put it in front of a pig. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Why? It's not that he's calling somebody a pig, but he's making the point that the poor beast cannot appreciate these things. So we don't share our most intimate feelings with just anybody, but if somebody loves us, then we open our heart to them. So Srila Prabhupada writes that if one has genuine love for the bona fide spiritual master, all confidential knowledge about Krishna consciousness will be revealed. He'll share his heart with us. And that way, we can imbibe the taste of his devotion. So people are saying, well, Srila Prabhupada says, there's no question of love, because we don't have the ability to love. They have all these ideas. People can love their dog, why we can't love our spiritual master? So I know people, my wife has a friend or two who have had dogs, and when the dog dies, the people are weeping, they're crying. So if people can love their dogs, why we can't love Srila Prabhupada? So, who is 1,000,000 times more. So, if one has genuine love for the spiritual master, everything will be revealed. He'll share his heart with us. So, let's see where I'm going. Oh, my glasses. So an intimate relationship has to be established. Oh, yes. So they say he lives forever by his divine instruction, and the follower lives with him. So we're following his instructions. So we're with Srila Prabhupada, and that's good enough for me. People say like that. We're following. He says get up early. I get up early. He says take shower. Do this, do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. So that's all that's all that's required. But the things we're talking about, these are also his instructions. These are the more important instructions, because one can keep all the rules and regulations without coming to this point, because there's no other way to imbibe the taste of devotion except in the association. That's why association is so essential with a real devotee, a pure devotee. It is from him that this love of Krishna emanates, And this is how Lord Chaitanya is distributing the taste of love of God that no other incarnation has ever offered before. And it's coming to us through the disciplic succession. And there's no other way to get it. One can keep the rules and regulations for 100 births. It's not going to happen because it's not something that is given as a reward. It's something that is already there, but we have to be intelligent enough to accept it, to take it. Prema Bhakti Ahoite. So, we have other, this is not isolated verses, it's all over the books. You have to imbibe the taste of his devotion. That's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in our daily prayer. From him, from him this love of Krishna emanates, and if we can catch it, our ignorance is destroyed. And then we have in the prayer by Srila Bhakti Vinod called Gurudev, the verse says, I offer you all respect, my spiritual master, so that I can have the ability to understand you correctly. I want to understand your heart. Then when I do, then I'll be able to really chant the holy name with devotional feeling. It's right there. Then another prayer by Srila Bhakti Vinod, the disciple is student. He's praying to the spiritual master, please let me be with you. Let me be with you. Let me feel your presence. In our morning prayer, we sing, Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya, Deho More Pada Choya. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Where's that shade? That if we can get a taste of his devotion to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada's love for Krishna, then we're protected from Maya. Because when devotion is in our heart to that proportion, Maya can't touch us. This is the shade of his lotus feet. This is the science of Krishna consciousness, okay? So, why I talk about these things, because I'm aspiring to live on this platform, because I need it more than anybody else, because otherwise I'm such a rascal, I suffer more than anybody. So, I offer you all respect, then I can understand how you feel. Ha ha, Prabhu. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. So he says, now Lord Chaitanya is more magnanimous than he's freely giving this love. He's freely giving. This comes down to us through the disciplic succession. He's freely giving love of God. Why I don't have it yet? So then, obviously, there's something deficient. Either I don't understand the philosophy or the science. So he says, this is why the spiritual master has to be the topmost devotee. And you can't make a topmost devotee by having a board of directors or a GBC meeting and vote for somebody to be a spiritual master. Yeah. So his mercy is available immediately, right now, in this present moment. So then he says, so he writes in every letter, Srila Prabhupada says, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's letters, he says, my dear so-and-so, please accept my blessing. please accept my blessing. This is Srila Prabhupada's blessing, that he's sharing his love of Krishna with us. I once heard a lecture given in 1966 by Srila Prabhupada, recorded lecture. He said, if you can purchase this love of Krishna, you go to the store, purchase it immediately. He said, but where can you get it? He didn't answer the question, but he's trying to make us think. If you can get it, get it. But where can you get it? So he says, he writes that one can do this in 1 second. If you go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 72, purport, 272, Srila Prabhupada says, one can acquire this spiritual love of Krishna, this Krishna consciousness. He says one can do it in a second. Or, Srila Prabhupada says, or one may not get it in millions of births. So check it out. 272. First line in the purport. One can get this Krishna consciousness in 1 second. Or one may not come to this point in millions of births. Then he says, it's only a matter of understanding. Understanding what? That this is available to us. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. He says it's a fact. You have to accept the fact that this is a reality, that it's a fact, that we can have it. So then he says, to accept, those who accept Srila Prabhupada as a bona fide spiritual master, if they are engaged, however, mechanically and waiting for a blessing, you can do that. That's the million birth process. Yeah. You can go on and go on. But he says, they won't advance any more than those who have, they won't advance any more than having a Kanista Adhikari as their spiritual master, because he's giving the same instructions. You can have a neophyte devotee for your spiritual master who's telling you, do this, do this, do this, chant 16 rounds, eat prasadam, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. A neophyte can tell us that. So if we do it all mechanically without doing it in the spirit of devotion that we're receiving in the association of Srila Prabhupada, we may as well have one of these neophytes as our spiritual master. People are saying, oh, I don't believe in ISKCON. I'm a Prabhupada Nuga. I'm receiving all these lists of instructions from Srila Prabhupada. If I am simply following the objective instructions, I won't make more progress by following these objective instructions from Srila Prabhupada than I would if I was following these objective instructions from one of those fools in ISKCON. Because it's not about getting objective instruction. It's about so what does anuga mean? Prabhupada anuga. Anuga means to follow the devotional feeling of the devotee, the pure devotee. That's what anuga means. It's called raganuga bhakti. Anuga means to imbibe the taste of the devotion, and we're following his mood or her mood, and Mother Jashoda and Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys, like that. It's called Raganuga. Prabhupada Nuga means following his feeling. So a real Prabhupada Anuga has to be following Srila Prabhupada's feelings. So if he's not following Srila Prabhupada, but simply following an objective list of instruction, he's not going to make more progress than the person in ISKCON who's following an objective list of instruction of these neophytes, so-called spiritual teachers, so-called gurus. So, those who accept, the real reason that we see the appointment of the role of guru in a spiritual institution, and the reason that we see the acceptance of the role of guru by those who are not pure devotees is simply because there's a lack of understanding of the science of spiritual life. That's all. Yeah. The science by which Krishna consciousness is actually developed. So I'm trying to discuss this science. I'm trying to share this science with my god sisters, my god brothers, my Matajis, all my mothers. Unless one understands and applies this scientific understanding, whether one is officially, Srila Prabhupada uses this word, he says rubber stamp. If you go through take your travel and you have your passport and you go through customs and they take a rubber stamp and they put ink on it on the ink pad, and then they stamp your passport and now you can enter the country. Rubber stamp. It's official. So if I'm an official Prabhupada Anuga, but I cannot enter Krishna Loka with that official stamp. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way by being an official Prabhupada Anuga. It's very good to recognize. There's Sukriti for recognizing Srila Prabhupada, but one has to know how to avail himself of the opportunity. Why does he have to be a pure devotee? It's one thing to recognize that Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master, but why? Because only a pure devotee can give us Krishna consciousness in the way that we're describing. So he said, to be a genuine Prabhupada Anuga means to try to understand. It's written, Nectar of Instruction. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says, one should not see the spiritual master from the outside. One should try to understand his internal feelings. Many of you will remember having read this. Hopefully all of us will remember how one should not try to evaluate, to understand the spiritual master by his external appearance. We should try to understand what he's feeling. It's written there. It's written in all our books. So somehow it has to go in. So for me too. So to be a genuine Prabhupada Anuga means to try to understand his internal nature, his internal feelings. That it means, and not only understand, but follow it, but cultivate it, but hold it in our heart. Always. If I talk about it enough, maybe I'll come to that point. So, this is the scientific process for receiving subjective instruction in the process. Now we come to the punchline. Krishna has been talking about this in our Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena paripraśnena sevayā upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. That 434, Krishna says, you approach a spiritual master, but what kind? Paripraśnena shanti te jnanam tattvadarshanaha. How is it? Tadvidi pranipatena paripraśnena se upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas. That knowledge, jnaninas. Tattvadarshanaha. A tattva is the truth, and what is the truth? The truth is Krishna, the absolute. Darshanaha, that darshan, someone who has the darshan of Krishna. He said, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, explaining to us that you have, and how does Srila Prabhupada translate? The self-realized soul will impart knowledge unto you. Jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. He has to have it. Otherwise, how can he share it? The spiritual master has to be a pure devotee. He has to be a tattvadarshi. Science of Krishna consciousness. He says, pranipat tena, you approach. Pranipat. Tadvidi. For you want that knowledge, tadvidi? You want that knowledge, you go and approach a person. Tadvidi pranipat. Paripraśnena sevayā. He, that self-realized soul, can impart knowledge unto you because he knows Krishna. He has seen the truth. So he says, paripraśnena. Srila Prabhupada, look at the word for word in that text. Paripraśnena. It says, submissive inquiry. Paripraśnena. Submissive inquiry. Very important. And sevayā, not just submissive inquiry, but sevayā and service. Inquiry, submission. So what is that submissive inquiry? If we go to chapter 12 in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada says that the fourth point in the surrendering process is, quote, inquire from the bona fide spiritual master, what is love? Inquire from the spiritual master, what is love? What is love? So this is paripraśnena. Paripraśnena means but not just to ask, oh, what is this love of Krishna, and get some description. It's to inquire submissively. It means, I want to understand what it is, and I'm opening my heart to you so that I can feel your feelings. That's submissive inquiry. I want to understand this love of Krishna. This is our whole demeanor of our life. We should be in this demeanor. I want to understand, what is this love of Krishna? Submissive. And I'm opening my heart to you. Ha Prabhu, oh Master, give me the shade of your lotus. Let me feel what you got, what you came to share with us. So he says, but in the self, he says, the self-realized soul can impart this knowledge to you. He can share his heart with you. So because he's a tattvadarshi. So it needs subjective instruction. He's giving you subjective instruction. He's sharing his feelings so we can feel. So I can feel. He's sharing his feelings so I can feel what he's feeling. And then Is that good enough? No. Sevayā means that then what's the next step? If I've learned what is Srila Prabhupada's feeling, the next step is that I do all of my sadhana with that feeling. Now I'm practicing Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a pure devotee. Whoop, excuse me. That's what it means to practice Krishna under the guidance of a pure devotee. Receiving subjective instruction by approaching him, making this submissive inquiry. Please share this devotion with me. This is paripraśnena, submissive inquiry. It's in the word for word. Paripraśnena, submissive inquiry. I'm not perfectly competent in quoting this and quoting that. I'm not interested in becoming a scholar. I want to understand how this works, because it doesn't... we can memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't mean we're going to get closer to Krishna. We have to understand how it works. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. Paripraśnena, sevayā. So it says, Srila Prabhupada writes, you get the taste, and it's a taste. It's a mood of devotion. So then, in the purport, you can see it for yourself. 434, Srila Prabhupada says, if you're not getting the taste, and you're just doing what you're supposed to do, thinking that maybe one day I'll get some kind of benediction, some kind of reward, I'll be blessed with Krishna consciousness. We are blessed with Krishna consciousness, but we have to accept it. Please accept my blessing. He's asking us, please accept this. So then he says, what is written? Just doing, and waiting for something to happen, the devotion to happen. It's going to be put on me like a reward. He says, that's called blind following. It's just doing it without having the experience. So you know what Srila Prabhupada writes in that purport of 434? Blind following is condemned. Don't just do everything we're supposed to do. Like a machine, like a robot. A robot can chant 64 rounds a day. Maybe 100 or 200 rounds a day. So, if blind following is condemned, and we should inquire from him submissively, what is this feeling of love of Krishna? And do it, because when we do it, we'll feel automatic. The leaf on the tree is watering the root. It will be approaching Krishna with devotion, under the guidance of our spiritual master. Then we'll immediately get the water comes up to the leaf. We'll feel the reciprocation, and we'll say, this is really nice. Then we're not blind following anymore. Then we're making the experiment, and we're realizing the science of Krishna consciousness. So, we have to become scientists like that. So, this is called inquiry, submission, and service. I'm very happy to be able to talk about these things. I'm very grateful that you're giving me the opportunity to talk about these things. I don't think, I say it before and I'll say it again. For 10 years or so, I went to classes every day And I've never heard this discussion. I've always been told that if you just do the program, follow the checklist, I did this, I did this, I did this. I distributed 100 books. I took prasadam, I chanted my rounds, and now one day I'm going to, now I'll be a little sarcastic, facetious. One day a bolt of lightning is going to come down from the sky, and I'll have love of Krishna. Because I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. This is not how it's going to work. It's not the science of Krishna consciousness. It's not receiving what no incarnation has ever freely offered before, and he's offering it through the disciplic succession, and we have to approach the bona fide spiritual master who's the Tattvadarshi, who has the intimate relationship with Krishna, and he can impart knowledge unto us because he has this relationship with Krishna, and we have to inquire from him in submissive inquiry. What is this love of Krishna? And every chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj says, praying at your lotus feet. He's talking to his spiritual masters, Rupa and Raghunath. Praying at your lotus feet, always desiring your mercy. I'm following in your footsteps. He's saying that. That's the way it works. Please become convinced that this is the science of how one becomes a devotee. Srila Prabhupada says that one can do it all mechanically. I have quotes like this copied on my computer. Even if one does all these things mechanically, he will feel there will be a mitigation. He used this word mitigation, means it will decrease. There will be a mitigation of the unwanted miseries of material existence. Just by doing it mechanically, we'll feel uplifted. He says, but love of Krishna will never come in that way. We'll feel good in a kirtan. We'll feel good doing our japa. We'll feel good discussing the philosophy, whatever. But he says, but our dormant love of Krishna will not be reawakened in that way by doing it. So we do it, and we feel good, and then we stop, and then again we do it. And so one can do what we're discussing in 1 second, or one may not do it for 1,000,000 births. So we're trying to discuss the process. And this is not an advanced subject matter. This is Bhagavad Gita. Pradbidi pranipatena. Paripraśnena sevayā. Submissive inquiry. Inquiry with the mood of I want to understand your heart. Srila Prabhupada. So I beg you, you're more intelligent than me, so you do it, and I'll follow your example. Because I'm so foolish that even though I know these things, I'm always being distracted. I'm having so many things to take care of, so many other things to do. So we have to have each other's association to encourage each other. So many of you are so much more intelligent than me. So let's do this together and encourage each other like that. Okay. Thank you for letting me talk to you this way. Hare Krishna. Ramchandra, where art thou?
Hare Krishna. So we were about 1 hour and what is that? Hour and 19 minutes, 20 minutes.
Whoa,
So
too long. But
it is what it is. So let's the discussion went along 434, right? Paripraśnena
yeah,
sevayā.
yeah,
That's that verse. Blind following and absurd inquiries are also condemned in that.
yeah.
Is
The
it
real
there?
inquiry,
Yes.
blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned because people are asking so many questions. But the real inquiry is, what is this love of Krishna? Can you share it with me?
Right.
And that's the submissive part is that I'm opening my heart enough to be able to feel what you're feeling, Srila Prabhupada. And then sevayā, I mean, I'm going to. So I'm always engaging in Krishna consciousness in his association. It's a package deal.
Right. Yeah, it's one thing to open your hearts to express these loving sentiments because people have been cheated so many times, and people have closed off that that door, like stone wall after wall, and
Material life is very painful.
yes, so
I
from
know
different lives.
before I became a devotee, I was a teenager and I thought, the only problem I have is that I have feelings and I should learn how not to have any more feelings. So there are people like Buddhists are like that. Mayavadis are like that. Because Srila Prabhupada explains that the material life is so... he talks about the jackal eating the grapes and he's jumping for the grapes, the jackal. And he can't reach them. So he has tremendous disappointment. So then he says, they're sour anyways. Who needs these grapes? This is an example that material life, we're trying to enjoy, relationships are so painful. So he says, they're sour, so who needs them? But really he wants them. But because he can't get them, he's saying, so then he becomes an impersonalist. He says, that my only problem I have is that I have feelings. I'm a person. I'm an individual. I have a sense of self. So let us destroy this sense of self, because it's all sour anyways. So then they become Buddhist. Then they become Mayavadi. But we want it. We want it. We want it very, very much. But they devote their whole life to trying to close their heart. Because they're so disappointed. So, so that's why. So what you were talking about, Ramchandra, is that Prabhu is that that people have so much pain in material life that for us their hearts become closed. It's the only way that they can protect themselves, and so then it becomes very difficult to be a devotee. Means to learn to open the heart.
Yes. Even the enemy is the friend. But there's great examples like Yudhishthira Maharaj, who had no enemies. He was so loving towards all living entities. So, and Srila Prabhupada did the similar thing. He was very equal and magnanimous towards all his disciples. You can see, he gave everyone a chance to express themselves in good, bad, whatever ways it turned out when you look at it in history. So, Janaspriya Prabhu, you had something to say? I see you unmuted yourself, Prabhu.
I just make a comment that Narayan Maharaj is not Prabhupada's god brother.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
He, they share their guru. Prabhupada took sannyas from his guru.
Uh-huh.
It's the
Yeah.
connection that they have.
Thank you.
And on the same link with Narayan Maharaj, his philosophy was exactly to what he taught them was that they were gopis. So jump the whole process of sadhana bhakti because you're already a gopi. You just have to understand that you're a gopi. And so they were trying to understand what the guru is feeling. So if we try to understand what Prabhupada is feeling, we have to be genuine and understand that we're not going to feel that. No. Someday we will if we keep on practicing. But it won't come simply because we want to. So Prabhupada says, how do you show your love for me? And he quotes this in many places. And he says, by following what I have tell you to do, that's how you please your spiritual master. And I was able to ask Srila Prabhupada one question in my whole life. 1975 in Atlanta, and all the Radha Damodar devotees were there, and the Sankirtan devotees, they all fire up. And Prabhupada mostly say, you could satisfy me the most by distributing my books. So I took the opportunity to say, Srila Prabhupada, how could we satisfy you the most? And Prabhupada looked at me and said, by loving Krishna. And so all the Sankirtan devotees were devastated, They're working so hard. So
You
there's
know,
many ways, and Prabhupada says many different things according to time and circumstance.
and depending who he's talking to, how
Yeah.
much he knows, how much we can understand. Let me get one thing, just one thing. I'll be right back.
He's going to go get Krishna. See?
Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.25. So you were saying that, there are different levels of love. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 5, verse 25. So we can't immediately take from Srila Prabhupada the highest love of Krishna. That would be artificial. It doesn't work that way. Srila Prabhupada says in this purport, 1.5.25, he says, first, the neophyte becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead's name and fame, quality, pastime, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee. This means to imbibe the taste of pure devotion in the transcendental activities. And this taste, this transcendental, it at once makes all material things distasteful. Therefore, a pure devotee is not at all attracted by material activities, because when we have the taste, in other words, we won't be attracted to Maya. So then, Srila Prabhupada explains that he's just in these sentences, he says, when you get a taste, this will take away our anarthas, anartha nivritti, the unwanted things in our heart. So he says, after the elimination of all the sins and obstacles on the path, it doesn't all happen at once. After elimination of the sins or obstacles on the path of devotional service, one can become attracted. Okay, that's the first thing. Then, one can have steadiness. That's the next stage. It's called nishta, steadiness, that we're always in devotional feeling. We're kanishta, means not steady. One can have steadiness, Then one can have perfect taste, Then one can have transcendental emotions, And at last, one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. So he's all these different stages, from the point where you just get a little taste of his association, Srila Prabhupada, and it feels nice, and it removes from our heart a desire for other things. He says, all these stages developed by the association of pure devotee. And that is the purport of this stanza. So it doesn't mean that if one is doing this, what we're trying to describe in our own little way, what we're trying, that immediately we'll have ecstatic love of Krishna. At first, the taste will, our desire will have anartha, will come to the platform of anartha nivritti, or elimination of more material desires. Then we'll become we'll become attracted to the subject matter and the name, and start to have some more flavor for us. And then, because as much as we have material desire, these spiritual activities won't be so gratifying to us. So the first thing, get a little taste, and then it will remove from our heart these material desires by degree, and then he says, then we'll become steady, not so rocky, and then we'll have maybe, first we'll become attracted, then we'll become steady, then next stage we'll become, we'll have some devotional feelings, and then it goes on and on and on. But the whole thing goes by being in, he says, all of these stages developed by the association of the pure devotee. So he'll be with us. We have to learn to live in Srila Prabhupada's association, all the way from here to going back to Godhead. And the last stage is that we'll have pure devotional feelings in our heart. So it's a gradual thing, and but it's tasteful, and it's not blind following. It's a cultivation under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Yeah. Okay. We're just discussing the science of Krishna consciousness. I really wanted to make it explicit, and because I don't think that it's understood, because we've been told by temple presidents and people giving lectures on Krishna that if we just do everything, one day a reward will come. And because we're innocent and we want to advance, we try to be as obedient as possible, with the hope that one day. But Srila Prabhupada said, I have quotes where he says, it's not something that's added to you, it's something that's reawakened in you. You already have it. And the way to reawaken it is to be in touch with someone who has it, and their heart will be influence on your heart. And we have to put our heart very close to Srila Prabhupada's heart, and then we can practice Krishna consciousness under the guidance of our spiritual master, like that. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Jai Haribol. Thank you, Ishan Prabhu, Janas Priya, for your comment. We'll continue the discussion next week. If anyone has any comments, questions, please feel free to contact Ishan Prabhu or myself or anyone else here. Thank you very much, all the devotees here and whoever's watching. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. See you next week.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.